glad that you're here to join me because today we are going to be talking about my 5-step process to find and hire a virtual assistant. This is one of those topics that is near and dear to me because you know what? This past summer, it was something that I had personally gone through, even though I have taken my clients through them numerous times with massive success. We were able to always hire effectively and with the right fit for the organizations. However, this last summer, because I had such an overwhelming amount of projects that came on board from my current clients that I had to hire my own team. So I became the accidental agency. And so I wanted to be able to take this moment and really walk through the process with you. So let's get to it. Maybe you are feeling like how I was, where you had so many projects on the go and things were starting to fall through the cracks. Maybe you're feeling like there aren't enough hours in a day to get things done and you are at the capacity on how many projects you can take and your workload has tripled. You can't take on any more without going crazy. But now you're finding yourself, you're ready to bring on a team member to help with all of the moving parts. So let's talk about why you would want to hire a virtual assistant. Apart from the side that they're going to be able to help with the workload, help reduce the workload, give you back some of your time, your freedom, your sanity, you're going to be gaining the experience of being a manager and developing the core skills to shift to being the CEO of your agency. You're going to learn how to leverage your time and your growing team. And on top of that, who wouldn't want more profits, more impact without having to throw more time at it? And the biggest thing is less burnout and stress on your part. Say hello to longer sleep at night, and maybe you're going to be able to take that work-less vacation. So let's get started. How do you go about finding and hiring your virtual assistant? So the first thing that I always encourage you to do is determine how much your time is worth. These are some of the components that we never really think about. We think about some of the pains that we're experiencing, such as, oh, I really don't want to write that email again. I really shouldn't be uploading this blog post. But if you don't have the actual data in front of you, the actual data analytics, you're not going to be able to know how much it actually costs you to be spending your time on this. So the first thing we want to do is actually track your tasks. So many agency owners overlook this and they think that they can just guesstimate this through their heads. But again, without the real actual data, you really don't know. It's like saying a pinch of salt versus a scoop of salt. So use some of the time tracking apps out there, such as Toggle, Harvest, or Time Doctor to connect your tasks to your time. Really understand how much your time is being invested into certain tasks and how much it is taking up of your day. By calculating how much time it's actually costing you to do these minor tasks, you're going to have that mindset, that delegating mindset. It's going to be more well-rooted in you to be able to be forthcoming in letting them go. Step number 2 is determining the tasks that we're going to outsource that we found out from completing the time tracking activity. So we're going to be able to set the appropriate KPIs, knowing what are some of the outcomes, some of the processes, and some of the key results that we're looking for. And second, through these tasks that we are determining that we need to outsource, we're going to be able to figure out what can be outsourced, if it's going to be outsourced to a generalized virtual assistant or a specialized virtual assistant. So it's going to be really important that you understand the difference between general and specialized. So a generalized virtual assistant is someone who has the experience of a variety of ranges of skill sets. So from inbox management, from task management, maybe a little bit of project management, and really task-related aspects of your business or of your agency. Specialized is when you are getting really specific into a process or an outcome. So for example, Facebook ads. That is a very specialized activity because there are so many moving components. You're in those specific tasks. You're looking for more profitable outcomes or desired outcomes than you would at, social media management, for example, right? So you're going to be able to understand which tasks you're really ready to delegate and outsource that you can also afford. So that comes to our step 3, we need to set the role now that we understand what tasks, how much time that task may cost us, and then determining which tasks we can outsource or we're ready to outsource, and also as well in which phase, right? So now we're ready to set the role. So think of short-term and long-term roles, right? In essence, when we start sitting down for the roles and responsibilities, we want to really map out the position as well. So it's not just about hiring a virtual assistant. You're hiring a team member who's going to grow with you, who's going to scale with you. So understand what impact and influence this person will play in your agency. So document all the tasks and processes on a high level, determine the budget of what you can afford, and keep in mind that specialized is more expensive than generalized. If you're on a budget, make sure you know how to delegate their time. So for example, with a virtual assistant, a general virtual assistant, you may be buying up 10 hours of their block, which is time blocks, right? So in those 10 hours a month, you're going to want to be very specific on which tasks they are focusing on and that you are fully leveraging both your guidance, your management, and their execution, their implementation responsibilities. Step 4, it's about finding your fitted hire. So the first place that I would always encourage you to look through is referrals. Ask your connections and your warm network on who they would recommend or who they've had experience with. I wouldn't go with who they know. I would go with who they have had experience with as the first round. Or first tier, and then start expanding your referrals afterwards. The second place you can ask is your current audience who already know and love you. So they're already familiar with your brand. They're familiar with your style, your presence, your visibility, your brand in total. And so they may actually be a good fit for your organization. Also, as well, you can look at other work-for-hire sites such as Upwork, Fiverr, Freelancer, Virtual Staffing Finder, the Virtual Hub, so forth and so on and so on. When you are looking to hire and looking through resumes, hire based on your core values, not skill sets, because skills can be taught and learned. It's the personality that matches your core values that cannot be learned. So for example, one of my biggest values is communication. If they're not good at communicating, or they're not a good communicator, or they're not even a good follow-through communicator, we're not a good fit, first of all, because I cannot not have communication. If I'm working with someone and they refuse to let me know what some of their struggles are, where they're falling on, or where some of the gaps are happening, we're not going to be successful together. So it's going to be very important that you do hire based on your core values. When there is a misalignment from your core values, that's where the working relationship actually breaks down. Also, as well, interview a good pool of candidates. Just because you're interviewing 2 candidates initially does not mean that you're going to get the right pool of candidates at all. I know, who's got time for that? But make sure you do set specific times and stick to them, right? That's how we can really go through them. So in the last year, I've helped many agency owners hire contractors or team members for their agencies. And one of the key things is we want to have a pool of at least 10 candidates to start with, where we're going through screening calls. And the best practice is to actually put them into 15-minute screening calls with very targeted questions that you want to go through. Always keep a timer on hand, either on your phone or on an app, so that you are able to keep to your time. Now, if someone really stands out to you, that's when you want to move them to the next round, where you're going to have more time to spend with them and talk through their skill sets, their experience, their portfolio, or whatever is the case. The other item that you want to make sure that you apply in order to find your fitted hire is to trial the relationship. So what that means is to work on a trial project to see how you both function, even if it's paid. I typically like to do paid trials because then there is some skin in the bones for the both of us. And we know that there are expectations that are on the table. If you have two strong candidates, I would trial them both just to kind of measure them up against each other and see how they both perform, because both may bring some different insights, different strengths and skill sets to the table. And it gives you some insight on how to keep running these types of trials as you continue to grow, scale, and hire. And of course, you want to make sure that it's within your budget. The last component for hiring your virtual assistant is to make sure you do have an onboarding team member program. What that means is, in simple terms, a training plan. Have an onboarding agenda. What are you going to cover with them through the first day, so to speak? I always encourage, in the first month, set aside a few paid hours to go through your brand with them. Just because it's on your website, just because you provided them with a brand guide or document, doesn't mean that they are bought into your brand. This is going to be key, because if you are able to have their buy-in into your brand, you're going to have a long-term relationship with your new team member. So some of the things you may want to go review with them is your brand voice, your brand style, and it includes your core values, core vision, and your mission. This is also if you have an operations manual in place, it speeds things up even more. If you have specific training platforms that you are on, such as a Thinkific site or a Trainual, Process Street, Suite Process, any types of platforms where it guides them through training, I would highly leverage that. And this is going to be the key component, especially if it is your first hire. It's going to take a little bit of time, but I would utilize this chance, this opportunity to build out your training program. So when I hired my team over the summer, I didn't have a lot of these components in place, even though I have done it for my clients. So what we essentially did was, as I began to onboard them, I started building out these components as well. And guess what? At each stage, especially when I am onboarding them through my brand, I just took little spurts of 5-minute videos and added them to the training platform. And guess what? Now we are highly active, engaged, and just formed this really, really strong relationship with each other that we can trust and rely on each other. And it's going to be a fruitful and long-term relationship. And the last thing is to structure a communication plan with your newest team member. So this means, how often are you going to be checking in with them, and have a structured check-in agenda. So what's working, what's not working, some of their feedbacks, give them the platform to provide this communication to you so that you can continue to improve and continue to bring in efficiency to your growing team. So I hope that helps. Stay tuned for our next episode, which we are going to be talking about how to actually navigate through the work for hire sites and explore them to see what will be the best fit for you and your growing agency. I'm Teresa Beretta, and I am the CEO and founder of LoopLink, an operation management consulting firm, here to help the creative agencies shift from constant firefighting to consistent freedom through sanity-saving operations. See you soon.